All right, it is Tuesday, October the 14th. Welcome to News 6 Extra. I am Christopher Heath. Kathleen is joining me as always. Kathleen, I got to tell you, we are in a beautiful stretch of weather. The week is starting to find its rhythm. God is in heaven and all is right with the world.
All is right with the world, yes. No, it was very nice. I was walking my dog very early this morning around 2 a.m., and it
Oh,
was
wow.
very nice outside. I just
Yeah,
wanted to keep walking around.
I got up about 4:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30 to go walk my dogs, and same kind of thing. Like you can feel that it's not humid, it's not
No,
cold, but it's just nice out there, and you know
yes.
it's giving way to a good day, and everything else that's going on. And hey, we're also in day 14 of the government being shut down. How about that?
Yeah.
That's how I get you. Lure you in with the, oh, it's nice outside. And by the way,
By the
our
way,
Democratic Republic is not functioning.
so maybe not everything is right with the world today. We'll
No,
take
no.
we'll take that
Today,
back.
the weather in the greater Central Florida region is fantastic. The competence of our elected leaders in Washington, D.C. is leaves something to be desired. Fair enough.
But we'll go with that.
All right. All right. Let's bring in David. David's got the weather for us today, and I already kind of gave the primer for it. It's beautiful out there. Now, we last week, every time we came to you guys, it was, oh my God, it's raining so much. There's so much going on. We got
Yeah.
flooding here, we got flooding there. The beach disappeared in Volusia County. Now it's like, so it's nice outside. And what else you got for me?
That's truthfully, you kind of hit the nail on the head, Chris. Truthfully, we're not really looking at the pattern rearranging itself just yet. And it's all thanks to that strong nor'easter system that social media took by storm, all the puns intended, trying to twist it into some kind of tropical system, throwing the word sandy around here and there. That is far from the case, and it's actually going to help to keep our weather as beautiful and fall like as it is. Let's get you over to your weather story. These are your headlines for the day today. Fall will be sticking around. We will see a bit of a nudge in the temperature department as we get closer to this weekend, but I'll show you why. The dry stretch will, in fact, continue through this weekend into next week. And then, even though the fall season, spooky season, the holiday season has started to really kick in, we are still watching the tropics because it is still hurricane season. And I'll show you a couple of the details on that here momentarily. But this here, I'll take you full screen. That is the rhythm we're going to be following for the next 7, 10, if not even 14 days. Jonathan Kagas wrote an article yesterday evening mentioning, is this the start of our dry season? Well, based on the radar and our model trends, it very well could be at least an initial stretch or an initial tug of that dry season down into our neighborhood. If you look up off the coast of Richmond and New York, the northeast mid-Atlantic coast of the United States, that's that nor'easter system fully supported by the jet. You can see that string of gold, yellow, mustard colors rocketing through our peninsula all the way up into the center of that storm. As it continues to move off towards the north and east, it's actually going to tug down another round of dry, stable air and high pressure. You look at our winds right now, this is what's primarily responsible for the wonderful conditions we're seeing outside. Crystal clear skies. Can't tell you how much it is or how great it is to see the sun, see the horizon line in the morning or at sunset. Anyone else out there notice the days are noticeably shorter now, as a matter of fact. The sun's setting between 7:30 now. We're starting to see dusk and sunset hit. These winds are going to remain out of the north, funneling that continental dry air into our area. It's 12:34 outside, and if you notice, some of us are still in the upper 70s, low 80s, dominating the weather pattern here locally, and our high temperatures are really not going to get much higher than where they are now. And thankfully, the heat index, since we are so dry out there, is different. I do find this interesting. Climate Prediction Center keeps us held at an above average temperature range for the back end of October. We're going to be watching this closely. Our models are definitely back and forth on whether or not temperatures will really climb back back into average, if not above average temperatures. You can see as we go through this weekend with the approach of that next system, we are going to warm just a little bit, but don't worry. The relative humidity, let alone our rain chances, won't climb too much. And then into next week, we're going to see temperatures drop off again. And then switching over to the European computer model, I love this chart. It'll show you just how above or how below the average temperature will be here in Central Florida. Roughly this time of year, we run between 83 to 85 degrees, and you can see out through Friday, we are expected to stay below that average. And then quickly running you through the upper air setup. Watch up over the Northeast as it comes down to Florida. Look at that big old push of more frontal air, more modified polar air, as it's called. It changes as it comes down from up north down into a more southerly region, but regardless, it's setting us up for future success this weekend, albeit if you look towards the northwest, our neighbors over the Dixie Alley, southern and central plains, very familiar sight. Severe weather season is going to be kicking back off once again. Head over to clickorlando.com for a look at that story, kind of breaking down what that could look like for our friends northwest of Florida. We should stay away from it for the most part. Then in the tropics, no development currently expected for the next 7 days. We do have Tropical Storm Lorenzo. That took shape over the weekend. And in that yellow circle, I'm watching another tropical wave that could make things interesting as we go over the next 7, if not 10 days, getting closer to Halloween. Latest advisory for Lorenzo has it as a 45-mile-an-hour tropical storm. It has weakened some, and it is expected to continue off towards the north generally before hooking back and possibly doing a loop-de-loop under reinforcing high pressure. That loop-de-loop with Lorenzo is why I want us to keep watching that other tropical wave, at least keep one eye on it. Because if you look at our tropical probabilities here, that feature is actually expected to meander into the Caribbean. And then notice the color coding there really starts to perk up south of Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, into the South Central Caribbean, which is the trademark source area for tropical features. Next name after Lorenzo will be Melissa, and that is exactly where I will have my microscope zeroed in over the next 2 weeks to see whether or not that has the potential of developing into something more than a tropical wave, and then where it goes from there. But last but certainly not least, we'll close out with a beautiful look at our 7-day forecast. Notice the next 3 days, no rain, maybe some stray cloud cover out there. And then as we fast forward into the weekend, slight uptick in the rain department, but a lot hinges on how much of the moisture comes down with that next front, or if we end up just back under that dry, high pressure setup like we are right now, Chris.
Got a blind melon forecast. Get it? Because there's no rain. I'll be here all week. Thank you for coming. Tip your waitress. All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Very welcome.
All right. Well, earlier this month, we told you about a shooting in Brevard County that claimed the life of a 15-year-old girl. Now we have learned that one of the suspects in that shooting has been arrested as deputies continue to investigate a shooting that they're calling an ambush. Mark Lehman has the story.
Sheriff Wayne Ivey said the actions of this suspect were horrific and is calling for a life sentence in this case. Investigators say the man was one of at least 2 people who opened fire here outside of this restaurant last week, killing a 15-year-old girl, and now a search is happening for a second suspect. The Brevard County Sheriff's Office posting this video of 20-year-old John Eric Smith as he was walked into jail yesterday. Deputies say Smith was arrested during a traffic stop in Volusia County, and he's facing a charge of first-degree murder along with 2 counts of aggravated battery. All of this is from the October 6th shooting here outside the Anchors restaurant near Cocoa. Investigators say several men got out of an SUV and opened fire. 15-year-old Kariah Duncan was killed. Her boyfriend and another friend were also injured in the attack. After the arrest, Sheriff Wayne Ivey posted a video message on Facebook where he said the push for justice isn't over.
It's horrific. Our community doesn't tolerate that, and I'm just glad this one's behind bars. I need the other one, Xavier Butler. Let's get him locked up as well.
As you heard there, that second suspect has been identified as 20-year-old Xavier Butler. A warrant has been issued for his arrest, also on a first-degree murder charge and 2 counts of aggravated battery. And as deputies are continuing their search for the second suspect, anyone with information that can help is urged to call the sheriff's office. As for that first suspect, he is in jail without bond and is expected to face a judge later today. In Brevard County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
And of course, we'll bring you what comes from that suspect going before a judge, and stay on top of the story as the sheriff's office continues to look for a second suspect. Well, staying in Brevard County, this is a story coming to us about driver who drove into a flock of birds in Port Canaveral on the cargo dock. Now, in Florida in general, hitting an animal unintentionally, the animal flies into the path of your car and you hit it. Animal runs in front of your car and you hit it. That's not going to be a crime. That's going to be an accident. It's just going to be something that we try and avoid, but we live with. Intentionally using your car or your vehicle to kill animals is going to be a crime. That's cruelty to animals. Section 828 of the Florida statutes covers this. It's the same as if you beat the animal with your hands, hitting it with your car intentionally. Intention matters. Now, when we're talking about birds, you've also got to consider there is also federal law that goes into effect. There is, of course, the Migratory Bird Treaty Act that was passed that governs the protection of especially birds, because birds don't just stay within one boundary. Many of them travel great distances and go from country to country, and we're they're an important part of the ecosystem. So Troy Campbell takes us through what happened out in Brevard County and the lingering questions about whether or not this was actually an accident or whether this might have been criminal. Here's his report.
It was out here in Port Canaveral near one of the cargo loading docks on Friday when FWC says it was contacted by the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. Investigators say dozens of birds were killed. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission saying on Friday, October 10th, they were contacted by the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, making them aware somebody had killed more than 4 dozen birds. Investigators say the driver of a truck, for an unknown reason, drove through a large group of birds. FWC says the Florida Wildlife Hospital and Wild Florida Rescue quickly sprung into action and tried to save the birds. However, 35 birds died at the scene. 13 others had to be euthanized due to their injuries. Investigators say only 1 bird survived. Law enforcement says it then reviewed surveillance video from the area. FWC also says their investigators spoke with witnesses of the incident and the driver, who is referred to as a suspect. At this point, it's still unclear if the driver has been charged and why the driver drove through the birds in the first place. Of course, we will continue to keep you updated on clickorlando.com. In Brevard County, I'm your community correspondent, Troy Campbell, News 6.
And as Troy alluded to there, the question obviously going forward will be intention. It is not uncommon to be driving and there's birds in front of you. You see it all the time. They will fly out of the way as the vehicle's approaching, but it does happen sometimes. The vehicle's going faster than they can escape. The airflow, brings them up. So it can be accidental. So part of FWC's investigation, part of the investigation in its totality will be determining whether or not what we're looking at here is an accidental bird strike or something intentional. And of course, it will all turn on that question as to whether or not charges get filed or this is just chalked up as a very unfortunate accident. All right, stay with us. When we come back, we'll talk about license plates, sunrail, and the boots with the fur. That's ahead. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. I am Christopher Heath. Um, Listen, Central Florida leads the nation in toll roads. We have more miles of toll roads here than anywhere else. There's Mark Lehman heading off for the end of his day. Bye, Mark. But yes, with all those toll roads comes a lot of cameras capturing license plates for when you go through a gantry, and they're obviously going to bill you for going under there if you don't have a Sun Pass or an E-Pass. Now, we also have a lot of red light cameras in Central Florida. Some cities are getting rid of them, while other cities are looking to actually expand them. So all of these things hinge on cameras and its ability to capture your license plate. Drivers, some, have decided that what they want to do is find ways around this, and using a little reflective tape here, obscuring a number there, maybe changing like a 8 to a 6 here, those kinds of things to try and game the system so that you don't have to pay the tolls, or if you do run a red light, it's going to be hard to hit you with a ticket. Florida, though, needs that money, needs that cash coming in. So our state lawmakers passed a bill that was signed into law. And now there are new penalties in place if you modify or do different things to your license plate that is going to obscure it in some way. Jana Manahalal explains exactly what drivers need to know before they touch their license plate.
Florida drivers beware. A new House bill is focused on cracking down on attempts to hide or alter your license plate. It used to be a traffic infraction, something that could get you a ticket. But now, the new law makes it a criminal offense to obscure your license plate or to carry or sell devices designed to do so. Our trooper Steve says he hasn't seen anything like this.
This is a very rare upgrade in enforcement on a traffic law. I have not seen something grow so much teeth so fast. You're going from a traffic citation to where I can now take you to jail for this.
Now, hiding plates, especially from toll cameras, isn't anything new. We found this crazy video in our News 6 archives when investigator Mike DeForest talked about it nearly 20 years ago. Look at this. A driver is coming out of the trunk of a vehicle covering the license plate, sometimes even using their whole bodies just to avoid paying tolls. Fast forward to today, and a quick search for a license plate covers reveals viral videos promoting devices and illegal DIY moves to make your plates go undetectable. But Trooper Steve says this new law isn't just about avoiding your tolls, it's about your safety.
Central Florida, we are #1 for vehicle versus pedestrians when it comes to crashes. A lot of those are hit and runs, and people hide their tags. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but drivers need to know that there are consequences to their actions, and there needs to be identifying markers on our cars.
I mean, there's really no reason to have a plate covering on the plate, no matter what.
There are new levels to this law. If you are blocking or owning a license plate obscuring device, it could land you in jail for 60 days. But if you're hiding your plate while committing a crime, that could send you to prison for 5 years.
Trooper Steve also tells me that if license plate covers that are like this one, used for customization and personalization, are on your car, they could get you in trouble. But the law is really focused on this. Absolutely covering your license plate is a no-go. Bottom line is, if your license plate cover is as reflective as my shoes, just don't put it on your car.
All the details about this change are available on clickorlando.com. In Orange County, your community correspondent, Jana Manahalal, News 6.
I think I can safely say I own nothing that is as reflective as Jana's shoes. Sparkly footwear. Mine is brown and boring. All right, so from the roads to the rails, when FDOT originally started helping cities set up the Sunrail connector, the idea was that the state would do a lot of the heavy lifting early on, and then the cities and counties would all pitch in and eventually take it over. Well, one by one, many of these cities are starting to do that, and they're starting to now realize that there's a cost associated with it. But with that cost also comes a little more flexibility as they start to look at ways to expand service options and really help get people on the commuter rail. And as your Osceola County community correspondent Stephanie Rodriguez explains, Kissimmee is looking to not only keep the rails running, but also possibly expand its service.
The City Commission identified some priorities to help them direct resources to where they're most needed. And this year, one of them is expanding the Sunrail service and hours.
From point A to point B quicker.
Carlos Alvarez rides the Sunrail almost daily. As a former Chicagoan, he knows how beneficial a train can be.
But one of the best ideas that they ever came out with.
He even prefers it to other modes of public transportation.
If I jump on the Lynx bus, which is 108 all the way down to Florida Mall, and then 107 towards downtown Orlando, is going to take me between about an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get there.
In Kissimmee's approved 2026 budget, the City Commission set the Sunrail service and hours expansion as a high priority. This includes defining the city's role, direction, actions, and funding, as well as goals and outcomes.
While the city isn't sharing any specifics on this yet, Sunrail riders tell me they're happy to hear it's a priority for Kissimmee and they'd like to see the service expanded to Saturdays and Sundays.
I think it will be a good idea for people to be able to go somewhere in downtown Orlando, during the weekends.
On the weekends that I'm off, I like to, go place, and if they got the Sunrail working on weekends, I'll be able to do so.
Starting next year, the Florida Department of Transportation will no longer run the Sunrail. Instead, that responsibility will go to the 4 counties it passes through and the city of Orlando.
Seminole County just approved $11.5 million to pay for its portion of the Sunrail service, while Volusia County added $1.2 million to its budget to pay for the train. Once we have more information about Kissimmee's plans, we'll bring those to you. I'm your Kissimmee community correspondent, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Kathleen, you ever ride the Sunrail? You and I live on the east side, so there's no real point because it doesn't, like if it did where the 408 was, that'd be great for me, but it doesn't do me any good because it goes north-south.
No, I have not been on the Sunrail, but it's something I want to do, just to go from one stop to the other, just to say I've done it. But as far as using it daily, I think where we're at, that's probably not very helpful.
Yeah, I've got a couple friends who either work at or have family that work at like Advent Hospital and other places. And, they think it's great because obviously it stops right there by the hospital. And they can, if they live up north of Winter Park or up towards Volusia County, they can grab it there or go all the way down to Kissimmee. But yeah, again, it goes north-south. Doesn't really go on the weekends. Here's the thing. I think if it went to the airport, you'd have me. Because then you could park at one of the stops where they put a garage near one of them, I'm sure, hop on the Sunrail, you're to the airport, boom, come back on your car. It'd be great. Or get on the Sunrail, take it to the airport, and then get on Brightline. That's all great options.
Right. That is a good point.
You're like, yes, Chris, that good. You're not plowing new ground here, Heath. Everyone said that.
No, but with the Brightline, that way if you want it to go down south or Miami, you could take Sunrail, go to the airport, and catch the Brightline, go to Miami.
The other thing that I think would help it is something that they've gotten rid of in New York, and they used to have, was the bar cars, where you could go in there and, you're coming home from work, get yourself a cold beer for the ride home on the rails. Especially if you don't have to then get off the train and drive, that's a good idea. But I think, who's to say? Like, you're on the Sunrail now, like nobody's like, I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's bring this train into the station, so to speak. The Crocs with the fur. This is my copy here, which you've written, yes. T-Pain, who was featured in Flo Rida's 2008 song "Low," has teamed up with footwear company Unforgettable leopard knee-high boots to make, look at those things. Ooh, it's faux fur. No endangered leopards were killed for the manufacturing of these boots, but they're Croctober 2025. The boots go on sale here in about a little over a week, and they'll sell for $160. Just in time, too. With the temperature outside getting a little chillier, at least here in the greater Central Florida region, these could be a very popular thing, something for people to rock. Not me, of course, but you could. People with style could.
No, I don't think I could rock those. I think they would be too hot. Like, I don't think we get cold enough here in Central Florida to have boots with that much fur.
We have a couple of days. And then the other benefit of working here at News 6 is that we keep the entire newsroom at 11 degrees Fahrenheit 24/7. So here in the newsroom, you'd be fine.
Well, that is true. That is true. It can get kind of cold. That's why I have my long sleeve on, because I'm a little cold right now.
It's hit or miss with my office. I go back there sometimes and it's like way too hot. And I go back there sometimes and I'm like, you could hang meat back here and it'd be fine. Cause it's all over the place. Okay. We got about 4 or 5 minutes left and that'll give me enough time to publicly air some grievances. I came in this morning to work expecting a fun-filled day with my coworkers, some conviviality and some good-natured humor and teamwork. And what did I walk into? But apparently somebody prior to my arrival had decided to discuss my impassioned remarks about shopping carts. Well, and I'm not going to cast any aspersions here, but I do have a list of suspects.
Right. Well, I'm probably at the top. No, we were actually talking. Somebody else had posted something on Facebook about the shopping carts. And he was always saying that when he sees the shopping carts in the parking lot, he always returns them. And he's like, am I part of the problem or part of the solution? And so some of the producers were talking about that. And I said, oh, you should ask Chris. He's very passionate about people who don't return the shopping carts. And so, of course, John Ambrone, our morning executive producer, is like, oh, well, I got to have some fun when he comes in.
The thing about me is I can dish it out. I can't take it. That's just who I am in a nutshell. Mark Lehman, who walked through the background a minute ago, we've saw his report. I mean, we frequently will mess with him and tell him we've got he'll be up in like Palm Bay covering something. We'll be like, hey, Mark, we need you to go pick up something down in Palm Coast.
Right.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm messing with you, dude. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But that being said, yes. Well, listen, shopping carts is one of those areas that again, it's what separates us from from an uncivilized horde. We have to have standards, and that's one of the ones that we have to adhere to. At least I think so.
No, that's very, and now I'm going to, every time I see a shopping cart, like a random shopping cart somewhere, or somebody who doesn't return it, I'm going to think about you and how it just
silently
really angers you.
Just sit there and you judge them. Judge them and bask in that moment of knowing I'm better than you.
There you go. That's, yep. Like
Warms,
I return my shopping carts.
It'll warm the cockles of your heart. Maybe even below the cockles of your heart.
Oh my goodness.
So there it is. All right. Fantastic show. We're almost right on time. That's good.
That is good.
Thank you to David for the great weather forecast, and we'll have him back on tomorrow to probably tell us more of the same, because as I saw that 7-day, there's not a lot of deviation in there, but you know what? We will have him back. Hey, and maybe by tomorrow the government shutdown will be over. Thoughts?
One can hope, but it seems like both sides are still standing firm. They're not wanting to budge.
If past is prologue, then no, this thing will continue on. I believe the Senate's in session and the House is still standing at adjournment. So the House is not in session. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe hope springs eternal. We'll see what happens tomorrow. All right. But thank you to David. Thank you, Kathleen, as always, for putting this fantastic show together. And thank you for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow at 12:30 to do this all over again. Of course, we break news all the time on clickorlando.com. We'll be on the air today starting at 4 o'clock for News 6. So make sure you tune in for that. Otherwise, we will see you back here tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. See you then. Bye.